This is a steal for the Toronto Blue Jays as trade rumors are really starting to escalate surrounding the Toronto Blue Jays as we approach opening day, specifically surrounding their bullpen, as a new report and rumor has just dropped surrounding the Jays' pursuit of a lefty reliever that is very intriguing. We're going to break down exactly who this is and discuss what it means going forward as the Jays continue to finalize their roster. But not only that, we have an update surrounding the Jays' plan as it pertains to their rotation that fans aren't talking about enough. And folks, we may be seeing a six-man rotation in the near future. But not only that, we have a ton of other updates, including Trey Savage sighting yesterday and some roster moves there. Ton to go over today, but before we get into it, a quick reminder: hit that subscribe button. You guys have been absolute beasts for the support, and folks, of course, we're in the dog days of spring training. Hopefully, the regular season, or rather, the regular season is coming right around the corner, and hopefully, it goes by very quickly. I want to dive into a bunch of different things today. Now, a new article has dropped, and I've covered this a couple times already this offseason, but I wanted to bring it up one more time because we're approaching not the point of no return, but I mean, a point where you'd probably want to actually do the move sooner rather than later. Now, it's Blue Jays predicted to land Cardinal star reliever in a big trade. And the reason I want to bring this up today is, of course, this is about Jojo Romero. And with the recent additions that the Jays have made, especially, seeing some guys who have, performed quite well. And at the end of the day here, even with Eloy Jimenez performing well and David Schneider potentially being on the outside looking in, it's starting to make some more sense. Now, let's dive into it. It goes on to say the Jays will undoubtedly be a team to watch regarding, making a deep run in the playoffs. Had some notable departures. Sir Anthony Dominguez left the team. Of course, they replaced him with Tyler Rogers. But in a recent article, Kerry Miller took a look at a handful of MLB top trade candidates that will end up getting moved this season. Among the players who Miller discussed was Jojo Romero, who has been in the rumor mill for months now. And Miller predicted that the Blue Jays will end up being the team that lands the star reliever this season. And again, this is just a rumor, like I mentioned there, but it's an interesting conversation point because I had a video surrounding Eloy Jimenez there a few days ago or last week. He's playing really well in spring training. And if they want to take him as the lefty masher, that might make Davis Schneider expendable. Now, there is obviously, I think Davis Schneider, is a very good player and he doesn't really match lefties, but they might give him a chance. Of course, this organization is very loyal to their guys. We've covered a Davis Schneider for Jojo Romero trade in the past. It could be quite interesting because Jojo Romero has a lot of upside, but so does Davis Schneider. Now you can see here, as far as the landing spot goes, throw a dart at a projected contender, as seemingly every postseason bound team is looking to shore up its bullpen over the summer. And Toronto looks like a better fit than most, as they could use another experienced reliever. With the Jays in need of another impact reliever, which I fully agree with if you've been watching my channel for a while, there's no question that he would be an excellent addition to the roster, as he would give their bullpen much needed depth. Now, let's dive into Jojo Romero a little bit in case you've missed my previous videos. Dominant, right? Doesn't throw insanely fast, but he's a very good reliever coming off of a 2.07 ERA season. But even before that, has had some really good years. 3.36 back in 2024, good for a 7-3 record, which again, record doesn't really matter for relievers. He induces a ton of ground balls. He could be that lefty that out of the bullpen, is their dominant lefty. They don't have one, right? And we know, Ross Atkins is not afraid to make trades and kind of, he doesn't excuse himself from potential moves here. He always goes and tries to make the most creative moves. I mean, no one really saw, of course, a lot of the moves coming. When we think back to the Dalton Varsho trade, that was briefly rumored. The Oscar Hernandez trade, the Andres Jimenez trade came out of nowhere. Jesus Sanchez, he kind of came out of nowhere as well. This one would be, again, it's rumored a little bit, but the Cardinals want to sell. They're in a full-blown retool/rebuild. And Jojo Romero, if they can get somebody like, a top 10 prospect, maybe, and a Davis Schneider, it might make some sense for them. Now, I'm not saying the Jays should necessarily give up on Davis Schneider this early. I don't know if it's fully early. He had his Babe Ruth season back in 2023, I believe it was. But like, I would do that deal in a heartbeat. John Schneider Davis Schneider for JoJo, because with teams always in the hunt for bullpen help, Romero should generate interest. But there's also teams like the Dodgers, Yankees, and Orioles who are interested. And one of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is because you look at the bullpen, you look at the way things go here. The Jays are going to upgrade their bullpen at the deadline anyway. And last year, you can argue if they made a bit of a stronger push at the deadline for more relievers, maybe they would have won a World Series, maybe they wouldn't have. But it's always something that's in need. And if you have a chance now in the offseason, and yes, relievers are volatile, but like his advanced analytics look great. He's a lefty, so that immediately, like at the end of the day here, they can provide themselves with some insurance, right? Because he is a lefty in the sense of they don't really have another great lefty on the team right now outside of, if you want to call Brennan Little, who was touching 100 there a few games ago. But you look at the bullpen, and Jimmy Garcia is going to miss the start of the year. You have Hoffman, Rogers, Verland, Outside of that, it's still up in the air. I want them to continue to make moves like this, continue to press. And Davis Schneider right now is projected to play 16% of left field, but he's blocked a little bit by Nathan Lucas. Of course, and Jesus Sanchez, they're both lefties. They need that lefty masher. And if they want to go ahead and go with Eloy Jimenez by chance, that leaves Davis Schneider expendable. And then, of course, you'd probably have to pair some sort of top 10 prospect. I don't think it would be towards the upper echelon because it is a reliever and they're very volatile, but it makes all the sense in the world to me, especially with other teams that are going to inevitably be involved here. And I want them to get their work done early. The reason I'm talking about this so deep into spring training is because if you're going to make a move like this, you either do it now, or of course you can wait till the trade deadline and see how prices go up or down. I mean, we saw the Jays give up their, I think it was ranked 10 prospect at the time in Jordan Watts Brown. So maybe you get your business done early and you'll still have to make moves at the deadline, but they might be a bit easier to manage if you get it done now. But let me know down below what your thoughts are on JoJo. I've had a lot of videos on him, but this new article, it reminded me with the Eloy Jimenez stuff, the Davis Schneider stuff. I like it a lot, and they've made a ton of moves already. Let's see what else they can continue to do here. And yeah, especially with the way that some of their bullpen is shaping out, but also some of their outfield is shaping out as well. Now, folks, we also know, of course, I covered this, is Joe Mantiply. He also signed. He's a lefty with the Jays there recently. This wouldn't take them out of the Jojo Romero sweepstakes. Of course, he had a 15 ERA last year, but they're intriguing lefties at the very least. And speaking of intriguing, Arden Zwelling tweeted a couple days ago that while a 5-man rotation is his preference, there's a scenario in which the Blue Jays could open the season with 6 starters. Yes, open season with 6 starters, depending on health, workload limitations, and merit per manager John Schneider. Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cease, Savage, Brios, Ponce, Scherzer, who's available opening day, and Lauer all in the running. This directly impacts the bullpen, and it directly impacts everything, right? With a 6-man rotation, I mean, it gives guys an extra day off. It makes the bullpen, I mean, it affects them directly. And of course, you might have to use the bullpen a little bit more. You might have to use them a little bit less. Of course, a lot of it depends on what ultimately happens here. But keep an eye out for a 6-man rotation. And the Jays they tried it last year. It didn't really work, and then they went away from it. I could see them using it this year while they're undergoing the Trey Savage limitation, because at the end of the day, the bullpen needs to be dialed in for Trey Savage, outings, and maybe even for Max Scherzer outings. We don't really know what we're getting from a lot of these guys. You do have 2 of the most reliable, innings eaters or inning eaters in baseball, in Gausman and Cease. And Cease kind of replaces Bassett in the strict role of you're going to get a ton of innings, though Cease is a much higher upside. It's exciting. And you also look at here the spring breakout players for some of the moves they've made. They've made their cuts / they made their roster. They have a lot of prospects here that are going to be able to be potentially breaking out. I mean, you have most notable guys, I think, for right now. You have RJ Schreck in the outfield. You have number 12 prospect Victor Arias. Catchers, you have Brandon Valenzuela. You have Charles McAdoo, Sean Keys. A lot of these guys have been mashing in spring training. Keep an eye out for them. And, of course, you have Jake Blossom, Brandon Barriera. Hopefully they can take care of business. But, folks, let me know down below your thoughts. I'm engaged, Stan.
The rumor mill in baseball has a funny way of whispering before it starts roaring. And right now the whispers around the Toronto Blue Jays are growing louder by the day. As opening day creeps closer, tension is building like a storm on the horizon, and one name continues to float through the air with irresistible intrigue: Jojo Romero. For fans watching closely, this could be the kind of move that quietly reshapes a season before it even begins. Welcome back to the Blue Jays Report, where we break down the stories hiding beneath the headlines. Spring training often feels like baseball holding its breath, but behind the scenes the front office is anything but quiet. Reports suggest the Blue Jays could be circling Romero, a left-handed reliever who doesn't rely on blistering speed but instead dismantles hitters with precision and control. After posting a sparkling 2.07 ERA last season, Romero has become the kind of bullpen weapon contenders dream about. The bullpen, after all, is like the final lock on a championship door, and right now Toronto may be searching for the perfect key. Now here's where things get interesting. A potential trade could involve David Schneider, a talented bat who has shown flashes of promise but may find himself squeezed by roster dynamics. With Eloy Jimenez swinging a hot bat this spring and outfield competition tightening, the Jays could see Schneider as a valuable trade piece. It's the kind of calculated gamble front offices live for: sacrifice potential today to secure stability tomorrow. If you're enjoying this breakdown, take a moment to like the video, share it with fellow fans, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report so you never miss the latest developments. But the bullpen rumors are only half the story. There's growing chatter that Toronto might experiment with a 6-man rotation to begin the season. Imagine the ripple effect that creates. Extra rest for starters like Kevin Gausman and Dylan Cease could sharpen their dominance, while the bullpen must adapt to a new rhythm. Baseball strategy, much like a chess match, often rewards the manager willing to think 3 moves ahead. And that's exactly why this moment feels fascinating. The Blue Jays aren't simply filling roster spots, they're quietly assembling a machine designed for a deep October run. Prospects are emerging, the rotation could evolve, and the bullpen might gain a powerful new arm. So the question now is simple but thrilling. Do the Blue Jays strike early and secure Romero before the trade market explodes? Or do they wait for the deadline battlefield? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And once again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Blue Jays Report. Because if this rumor turns into reality, you'll want to say you saw it coming.